Hey, it's Kat at Kattalestv. I'm gonna do a video driving. Hopefully, maybe, you'll be able to see some of LA as I drive. We had more fires. Santa Clarita, there was a fire, I think yesterday it started. And I worked in Santa Clarita recently, last Friday. I think it was last Friday or last Thursday. And I was, kind of worried because I didn't know where the fires were. A lot of the companies, were working, you know what I mean? And by the way, the people that were working in Santa Clarita, because we work on sets and stuff, they might have been stuck yesterday, you know what I'm saying? Because there's one particular studio that's very, very close to Magic Mountain, that's in there, but also the air quality is extremely bad. And, people need to be wearing N95 masks because the ash is really big. And of course it's toxic. We have smog anyway, but the fires and the air quality is going to be horrendous for God knows how long. But I was talking to a friend earlier today, and we were talking about how, certain people kind of wish harm on California, but they look at the Midwest with oh, they got, snow, and they are more generous with the causes, whereas here it's I saw some guy on Twitter yesterday wearing an X hat, which means, it's an influencer who probably got paid by Elon to bring out more propaganda, but he's yes, it's these are arson and blah, 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 and it's if you don't live here, then you probably have no idea how windy it is. But I can tell you, because I say this in a lot of videos, and you might be able to find one of my videos where I actually show you, but I work out at the beach a lot, and I do this workout that involves wind resistance, and I can tell you for the last year or two, I've noticed how strong the wind is, because when you're moving fabric by the ocean and the wind's blowing at 30 miles an hour, you're really pulling against that fabric to hold it. So imagine 70 mile per hour winds happening plus fires. It's going to move the fires. So there's a lot of just ignorance and lack of logical thinking and a lot of propaganda, mean-spirited. And again, Elon's not even from America. He doesn't necessarily care about Americans. He just wants to make more money and have more control. So I just wish more Americans would realize, and when I say Americans, I mean the people living here that actually, are doing good things and taking care of their families and working and being artistic and, not causing crazy trouble. Those people. I wish people studied history and understood what's going on right now. To me, this is a political takeover of KGB level. Come on, what the hell? Oh my God, this person just stopped. Anyway, sorry. There's a guy parked illegally in the middle of the street, and then there's a garbage truck. I can understand the garbage truck. I don't understand the other car parked in the middle of the street. Sorry. Anyway, as I was saying, I wish people understood history, studied history, weren't so lazy, and understand that if you feed the public with the same information over and over again, and it's a lie, And you make people believe that lie. You know what I'm saying? And you own media companies or social media where you can repeat that lie. More people are going to believe it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't do any research. And I heard a lot of those TikTok kids were complaining about, well, if you take away TikTok, I won't be able to find music. They don't know how to use Google. They're so used to being, I hate to say lazy, but they're so used to having everything done for them that that's a very bad way to be, in my opinion, because they don't know how to, like, probably wash their own clothes, make a fire if they had to, if there was a power outage, find water that doesn't come out of a bottle, milk a cow, raise chicken, be able to, gather the eggs, snap peas. Some of us have been on farms. There's a whole generation that never, ever went to a farm. There's a whole generation that never went to the beach. There's a whole generation that plays video games and never, goes in nature. And that's unfortunate. When I was a kid, we had a lot more freedom of running around, and I used to jump on trains and jump off because I thought I was like a daredevil. We used to do stuff outside of the house. Literally, our parents would say, go outside, and they meant it. Now, people just stay in the house. They've been programmed to stay in the house and to be afraid all the time, and to not use our deductive reasoning skills. I wish for you, the younger generations, to understand what privacy is, self-autonomy, and not being programmed to do what everybody else does, and not being addicted to social media. Because it's really dangerous. I've noticed on Twitter, I call it Hex, how much garbage it's been over the last 10 years with, trying to get Trump elected the first time, and the mean-spiritedness online and how it grew. And then also, reality TV's shows. I'm thinking about a graphic design I made up on Redbubble where there's a TV and there's a guy with a gun and he's shooting. The TV is his brain and he's shooting his brain. But I used to say for a long time, reality TV kills, because a lot of people love looking at people yelling at each other, screaming at each other, abusing each other. And it becomes the norm. And to be honest with you, that's not normal. That's like a slave mentality of being a cat on a hot tin roof, to use somebody else's phrase from a great movie and a great book, but never being calm, never being relaxed, always afraid. That's what being abused always is like. And a lot of people who've been abused generationally, especially in America, certain cultures, being abused has been programmed. We're used to being abused. We accept being abused. So we're abused as children. We get in relationships that are abusive. We start to abuse. We have kids we abuse. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Unless you try to break those patterns. So, again, we need to take care of each other. And especially with the fires going on here. I listened to this guy talk about, he saved his house, by the way. He was evacuated, but what he ended up doing was he bought those oscillating sprinklers. The ones that rotate back and forth. You get them, he said he got really cheap ones at like Home Depot or wherever, but you can get them anywhere. But he put some on his roof, and he put some surrounding his house, and he let it run when he got evacuated and his house stood. But the reason why I'm sharing this information is we need to start thinking about solutions and not just waiting for someone to save us, because the fire was so massive, there's not enough fire trucks for a fire truck to be on every street. You guys know that, right? Like, I can't tell you, California is like a country. It's so big. And I tell people all the time that visit here, they're like, yeah, I want to go to the beach. And they're in Hollywood, by the way, right? And then they're like, I have an appointment in the valley, and I want to be back there, like, you know, how long is it going to take me? And I'm like, well, first off, from Hollywood to the beach, depending on which beach you're going to and what time you're going, can be the difference between 35 minutes to several hours. And then when you try to go over to the valley, depending on where you're going to the valley, it all depends on traffic, if there's an accident, blah, blah, blah. Like, for instance, when I was going to Santa Clarita, there was a slowdown on the 170, and I can't even tell you, from Hollywood all the way to, like, past North Hollywood, that traffic was so slow. And all I can tell you is, by the time I got to Santa Clarita, I was late. But I called. I saw the truck that was causing all this. It was an 18-wheeler, and I guess it was a massive accident, but it was way in Santa Clarita. It was causing the whole freeway to slow down. Unless it had multiple accidents, which is possible, but it was crazy. But all I'm trying to tell you is this place is a freaking country. It's huge, absolutely huge. And outsiders or people who don't live here, they can talk all the shit they want to, but unless you live here or you visit here, you don't know. Again, the winds are very, very strong, dry air, and sometimes extremely cold at night, especially in the winter, and hot during the day. And people can get dehydrated really easy. I remember I believe in a January month several years ago, I was visiting a boyfriend in Palmdale, and we were playing by the pool, and I felt sick. Meanwhile, in January, it was like 100 degrees in Palmdale, because Palmdale is a desert, right? And I'm like, I don't feel too good. And he's like, when did you drink water? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, you're dehydrated, you know? And I drank water and I felt better, but a lot of times people who live here get dehydrated because, you know, they're not realizing how dry it is, and they're, you know, exercising or they're doing whatever they're doing, but they haven't drank enough water, enough fluid. So all I want to say is have compassion. And just like I believe it's Louisiana, they're experiencing a ton of snow. Nobody's saying, oh, the governor doesn't know what he's doing when there's snow, or the mayor of wherever doesn't know what they're doing because there's snow. It's a natural occurrence that happened, a freak of nature. But you guys, climate change is real. So you're gonna have freaky weather. And I believe, you know, they're not teaching you guys that, some of you. They're brainwashing you. They want you dumb so you can be controlled and you don't know how to do anything and you're dependent on them. But what I would suggest is learn, especially from your elders that know stuff about, like, how to make candles, how to build a fire, how to clean water, sterilize water, how to make soap. and how to protect your neighborhood. I've said this on my Twitter feed, and I'll say it here. I believe, especially in a state like California, each neighborhood should have a fire brigade. There should be people in the neighborhood that are trained in like fire safety. I mean, actually, everybody should know about fire safety, and everyone should have either a fire extinguisher or some of the products that can put out a fire. But we got to stop being so dependent on someone else to save us. Be the Jesus. Don't expect Superman to come and get you. Because especially the way things are going, the shit's not working. It ain't happening. And especially with this administration, Mr. 47 is doing ICE raids. And a bunch of migrant workers are afraid to go to work. And a lot of your produce is picked by migrant workers who work their ass off. And a lot of stores and businesses and hotels have migrant workers. They lie a lot. You don't know, but they're working because it's cheap labor, and these people, all they care about is making money. You know what I mean? Even Uber and Lyft hired people from other countries. I don't even know if they're legal to work here. They had so many workers that did not even speak English as a first language, which isn't that. I mean, I'm going to tell you why this is an issue, but they used the app and it was in their language. So if they're from China, they had the Uber app translated into Chinese. Now, the reason why that's dangerous is, especially in a place like California, if there's an emergency and the person does not speak English in a level where they can communicate that there is an emergency and they've got to be able to handle a passenger, having an emergency, like let's say someone is sick, someone needs help getting up on the curb, with their wheelchair or their walker. How are you gonna communicate if the person doesn't speak English on that level? There's no amount of, the translator's not going to be able to do everything. You know what I'm saying? And then also, you can do a background check on somebody from America. You can't do a background check from somebody from Russia or Nigeria or someplace else, Mexico. Because literally it's from, I think it ends in America, right? And so these companies, in order to make money, they're putting your life in danger because some people are not good people. Of course, there's Americans that aren't good people. They got a lot of issues with these rideshare companies and some of the men that do weird stuff, some of the drivers. But again, we have to understand that these big, large AI type companies, one, they don't give a fuck about us. Two, they want to make as much money as possible. Three, they might hire people that aren't qualified to do the job properly because they're desperate to fill, the cars on the road so they make more money. And your life or my life isn't important because they can have their lawyers go to court. But with Trump, a lot of these big companies, they hate unions. Trump hates unions. So you imagine you've got the owner of Uber, the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, who recently closed down a warehouse, an Amazon warehouse in Canada, a supply place, where they fought for a union. He decided to close that plant. Jeff Bezos is one of the richest men in the world, and he's against unions. And people talked about how when they worked for Amazon, they could not even go to the bathroom. They couldn't take bathroom breaks. They had to pee in water bottles. It was like they want you to be robots. We're not robots. We're human beings. And the thing that pisses me off about a lot of people, they complain about, non-union work and stuff like that and how bad things are, but they're not willing to boycott Amazon. They're not willing to boycott Walmart. They want their cheap shit made from China, but they don't care that it hurts American workers, and, they just don't care. Oh, somebody just had an accident. Because people drive stupid. I'm going to show you. Look at this. Typical LA. Typical LA. Like, there's no reason for that to happen on a beautiful day like today is, besides the fires and stuff, but there's no reason for that to happen. It's like people driving stupid or the mental anguish of being abused. That's what all those guys remind me of. So all I can say is, don't fuck with them. You know what I mean? Anyway, like, as in boycott. Don't buy Elon's cars. They blow up anyway. And don't buy Bezos's shit. Don't be on Amazon buying shit, buying trash. And start researching stuff. Start studying how to protect yourself. Alright? This is Kat at Kattalestv.